right, good evening, Hibriten District Panther family. It's good to get to talk to you tonight. I hope that everything works out. This is a new technology, new thing for me. I feel like I'm sitting here in my office talking to myself, but I hope that we have at least some of you come online tonight and attend this meeting, and it will be up on our WLMS stream YouTube channel for those of you who are not able to watch it live. And of course, you can always contact me here at the school if you have questions about anything that we talk about tonight or don't talk about tonight. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. I am John Gregg. I am the head football coach for our Hibriten District Panthers team, the middle school team. Have been coaching this team now. This is my 21st season with the team, my 12th season as the head coach. Glad to be here. Love working with the young people of this age and getting them ready for the next step as they continue on to Hibriten and to high school. This year I will be assisted by Darren Fodrell, which I'm sure many of you guys know Coach Fodrell from either your days at William Lenore or in the team last year. He helped us out some and has helped us out some for the last few years. And he also works over at Hibriten as an assistant principal this year. They were able to pick him up, and he has offered his services to help us out. And I'm also very excited to have Jamal Molly Norwood come out and help us this year. If you don't know Jamal, he is a former player. He played for me back in the early years, the late 90s, early 2000s. Great quarterback for us back then, and he went on, of course, to play at the high school. Probably one of the best quarterbacks to have ever played that position over at Hibriten. In the offense that they currently run, he knows it left and right and backwards and forwards, so we're glad to have him come out and work with our kids, and especially the quarterback position to get those guys ready to move on up to high school. So first thing I want to talk about is practice. I know there's some questions about practice, and Lord knows, guys, everything this year is completely different, and maybe a lot of you are wondering why it's taken so long to get this started. Is because I just wanted to wait and to see if we were even really going to have a football season. I didn't at one time think we would, and I'm still not sure exactly how long it's going to get to last. We're just going to be thankful that we have any time together at all. Hopefully we get all 5 of our games that we've got scheduled in this season. Hopefully we can stay healthy and be able to do that. But we're just going to be thankful for whatever happens. And it's going to be really different. It's going to be really weird. It's going to be just something that none of us are used to as far as football goes. But anyway, getting back to practice. Practice will start Monday, this coming Monday, which is February the 15th. We're going to practice right here at William Lenore. We'll practice out behind the school, just a few feet from where I'm sitting right now. The field that is behind the gym, kind of in between the gym and the baseball field. That's our little practice area, and we'll practice there for the first 2 weeks of practice for sure, because the field down at the high school is going to be occupied with their players and the soccer teams and all the other things that goes on. As the season goes on, maybe we'll move down there some too, but for right now we'll be right here. Yes, and everybody is going to practice every day. So you guys that only come to school on Thursdays and Fridays, you will be here. You'll have to come in for practice on Mondays and Tuesdays, and vice versa. If you're only here on Mondays and Tuesdays, then you're going to have to come in for practice on Thursdays and Fridays. And of course, we're going to have practice on Wednesdays too. We only have 12 practices until our first real game this year, and we have a lot of stuff that we got to get put in. So it's vitally important that you're here for all of those practices. Even if the weather's bad, as long as we're having school, we'll be practicing, even if we have to practice inside, because state law says we have to have at least 10 days before we can make contact with another team. So with only 2 extra days, we got to be here every day. So please have your son or daughter here every day for those practices. Again, it's 3:30 to 5:30. I'm not a coach that likes to run late, so I will be done at 5:30 pretty much every day. Please be here to pick your son or daughter up on time. I do have other things that I like to do after school. I've been here 12 hours usually already. I need to go home. So please try to be here to pick them up on time. And one of the days that we may go late is Monday, especially this first week, because we're going to be handing out equipment at the end of practice. So, for example, Monday we're going to hand out helmets after the end of the first practice. So it may take us just a little bit longer to get everybody through. What will your player need for practice on Monday? Well, they'll have to have come dressed appropriately, whatever that is for the weather. I don't know whether it's going to be cold or whether it's going to be hot. Make sure that they have gym shoes or shoes that they can come in the gym with, and of course make sure that they can make sure they have cleats if we're able to go outside. So make sure they bring both of those pairs of shoes. They will need their own water bottle of some kind. It doesn't matter what kind of bottle it is. We are not supplying water bottles this year for obvious reasons. We will have coolers where they can fill the bottles up, but they will not be there will not be sharing of water bottles this year. I think that's all for practice about Monday. If you have questions about practice, you can ask them here in a little bit. So what are we going to provide for your players? Well, we will give players a helmet, shoulder pads, practice jersey and practice pants, a game jersey and game pants, and then we'll provide knee pads. Okay, so all those are all the things that you can expect to get from our team. If you have any of that on your own, you're of course welcome to buy it. A lot of times our parents have started to where they want to buy their own helmet, and that's certainly okay. You're welcome to do that. I just ask that if at all possible it is white. Well, that is the color of helmets that we wear, and we'll put our decals on it and everything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. What do you need to provide? Well, you number one need cleats. Every year parents ask me what's the best kind of cleat to get, and I really don't have the best kind. I always wore high top cleats when I was playing, but I was an offensive lineman and I got my ankles stepped on a lot, so that's the reason I wore high top cleats. You don't have to do that, but what I would tell you is don't go spend a lot of money on cleats. You don't need to buy the $100, $200 cleats. They're not going to make your son a better football player. I promise you. Just like the latest Air Jordans aren't going to make me a better basketball player. I would say about $40. Don't buy cleats you got to change out unless you're going to change them, because I promise you your son won't. So just get the molded cleats, and they're going to grow out of them by next year anyway, so don't spend a whole lot of money on them. I do have a few extra pair of cleats that parents have donated to me throughout the year, so if we do have a student that doesn't have a pair of cleats or can't get a pair of cleats, I can help you out with that. You'll need to get a girdle, and I meant to have one in here with me. I'm sorry I don't. But the girdle is it is basically a pair of compression shorts, tight-fitting compression shorts, and it includes the pads for the hips, for the thighs, and for the tailbone. So it's got padding in it. Your player will have to purchase their own. They're available at Dunham's. They're available at Academy. They're available at Cook Sports in Wilkesboro. You should be able to find those pretty easily. But it is important that they have their own. We don't give them those pads anymore. We don't even have them to give out anymore. They have to have a girdle with those pads in them. And then, of course, you have to provide for a mouthpiece. We will have some of the 97-cent mouthpieces. If it's my son and I've spent a lot of money keeping his mouth from his straightening his teeth or whatever it is, I don't want to give him a 97-cent mouthpiece. So make sure you purchase a good mouthpiece, and make sure your son keeps up with it. It is going to be a little weird this year because they are going to have to cut the mouthpiece off. They cannot attach it to their helmets because of something that we're going to get to in just a minute. So it is going to be a little bit harder. You all know probably already how hard it is for middle schoolers to keep up with stuff. So hopefully we can figure out something to help them keep up with them. And of course, this year, you're going to have to provide your son a mask. We have to wear the masks at all times, whether the helmet's on, whether the helmet's off, whether they're playing, whether they're not. We just got this ruling from the state just last week. I'm actually going to try to purchase 144 masks through the school, and they're masks that instead of going around the ears like most of the masks that we're wearing, they go around the head and then with the string. So that way, if they pull them down, they're not falling on the ground. They're just hanging around their neck. So I am going to try to purchase those. But you will need to provide a mask for your son or daughter next week as we begin practice. They will not need the girdle next until we are able to make contact or the mouthpiece, but definitely they will need cleats on Monday and gym shoes just in case we have to come inside. Our field is very muddy right now. So if the least little bit of rain, we're probably going to end up having to be inside. And understand their clothes are going to get pretty nasty too. We will have the locker room open. This will be the first season that we've used the locker room, or first sport this year that we've used the locker room. So they will be able to put their stuff in the locker room and be able to leave it there during the school day. I would ask that they take it home at least once a week and wash it. It does get to smelling not so great here in my office, which is attached to the locker room. All right, so next, let's talk about the schedule. We do have a 5-game schedule this year. We're only playing the teams in our conference, which include, of course, Hudson, Granite Falls, and Gamewell, and then our 2 out-of-county teams, which is East Alexander and West Alexander. So our schedule is really short. We're basically playing for a month. Our first game is on March the 3rd, I believe, March 2nd or 3rd, and then our last game is on March the 31st. So it's going to go real quickly. We hope we're going to get everything in, but again, that's just it is what it is. We're just glad we're getting to play, and we got to keep our focus on that. Of course, your player will be required to wear the mask in the game, so make sure that they have something that they can breathe in. And one thing I forgot to mention about the mask: they cannot wear the gator scarves for especially for games. That was told to us by the High School Athletic Association. They will not allow the gator scarves to be worn by players in the game. So if you have gotten used to wearing those, or your players gotten used to wearing those, they cannot wear them for football. So you might have to make sure they have a different masks. And here's where the controversy is going to kick in. 4 games, each player will be allowed 1 person to come to the game, whether it be a parent, a grandparent, whoever you and your player choose, you'll be allowed 1. That is not my rule. That is not the rule that we have set in place. That is the High School Athletic Association and the state of North Carolina. They are limiting us to 100 people in the stadium. So if you figure two 40-member teams and then 2 12 people cheerleading squads, you're already at 100. So that's just the way it's going to be. We are not going to let more than 1 in. We will have our school resource officer standing by at the gate, and if you fail to comply with this, then we will send you back home. We have had some issues during basketball, and we're not going to have those issues anymore. You will be getting some paperwork to sign from your son that states that you understand this rule and you understand that it's not our rule and that it goes above our head, and that you will comply with it, or your son will not be allowed to play. That is one of the required forms that we'll be sending out this year, along with the concussion form, which is another form that you have to sign. It will be we must check temperatures, before the game, before we can let you in the game, and we'll have a form for you to fill out that basically says who you're there to see and ask you the questions I'm sure that most of you have heard over all this time with COVID. And of course, we will be collecting money. It is a $4 admission charge to our games, and guys, that money just barely helps us to break even. We're not making a whole lot, trust me, especially with football. We pay, I think it's almost $200 just for the officials, so it's going to be hard for us to even break even this year at the gate. Now, I do have one thing while we're talking about games, a way that maybe you can get more than one member of your family into the game, and that's by volunteering for the chain crew. And if you've been to our games before, especially you parents that were with us last year or have been with us in years past, you know that almost every game I'm begging people from the press box or asking the announcer at the press box can we get some people to run the chains. Not only is that embarrassing to me, it's embarrassing to our program, because I've never been to another school where they've had to ask for people out of the stands to run the chains. I've had my father who's almost 70 years old have to come down out of the stands and run the chains. I've had people from the other schools have to come out of the stands and run the chains. That's embarrassing for us as a program. So maybe this year I can sweeten the deal for you. So if you run the chains, you don't count as the person in the stands for your son. So might be an incentive for you to volunteer. We need at least 3 people at every game. 4 people is nice, just because you can have somebody to do every job that is involved with running the chain crew. And if you don't know anything about running chains, as long as we have one person that knows what they're doing, they can kind of guide everybody else. It's not really complicated. But again, we will need somebody for our 3 home games. We do have 3 home games this year. We'll start out with the home game versus Granite Falls. Then we go away for 2 weeks in a row at the Alexander County Schools. And then we'll come back to the Hibriten Stadium for our last 2 games versus Hudson and Gamble. So we do play all our football games over at Jeff Story Stadium. I don't know if you guys know that, especially you 7th grade parents. And guys, we really are an extension of the high school team. Even more so this year than in years past. They have really brought me into their program, and we're trying to do exactly the same things that they are doing over there, so that once your guys have gone through our program, when they get to their program, they're not in kindergarten anymore, I guess is a good analogy. They're ready to move on. Okay. So it is that is our sole purpose for having a Hibriten district team, so that we can prepare our players to take that step to the next level, instead of preparing for other schools. Let's see, a couple other things that I had taken or written down in my notes. I have sent out a Google form. It is on our Facebook page, our Hibriten District Facebook page. If you haven't seen it yet, please look for that and try to fill it out as soon as possible. All that is just giving me a spreadsheet to, instead of having to populate it with ask the people their names and you having to sign up for paperwork. I can do it. We can do it all electronically. It puts it in a spreadsheet for me, and I already have everybody down. So please try to do that and share it with people. Share this broadcast with people if you know other people who are planning on coming out. If you need to contact me at any time, the best way to get a hold of me is through email or through Facebook Messenger. Calling here at the school is usually not a very good way to get a hold of me. I'm not in my office very often. I spend about 30 minutes maybe in my office every day in the morning. I don't have a phone in the gym, so I can't run and answer the phone every time somebody calls. As a matter of fact, I don't even hear it ring. My office is back here in the attached to the boys' locker room, so I don't get to hear the phone. So trying to call me at school is usually going to just leave you with a message, and so it's just better if you email me, or again if you Facebook message me if you need to get a hold of me. That is all that I have written down. If anybody's watching, if you guys have questions and you want to type them into the comments, I've got another computer running so I can see that and try to answer any of your questions. And if you're watching this later on and you want to ask a question, you can always email me here at school. So go for it. Anybody have a question? I will say we will not have a concession stand this year, for obvious reasons, so we don't have to worry about manning yet. My plan as of right now is to try to get everybody to park at the top of the stadium. So that's high dollar parking for the high school players, and hopefully be able to take attendance on the road. We're still working on those plans, so that's not set in stone yet, but that's the plan. All right, well, I'm not getting anybody asking a question, so I'm going to assume that either you don't have them or you can ask them later. And again, guys, please feel free to contact me anytime. I'm glad to answer questions, and I know it's a crazy season. I'm excited. Oh, what time are the games from Scott Martin? Thanks, Scott. They will all start at 4 o'clock. Our games all start at 4, and they're on Wednesdays. So that, I know a lot of people, one of the biggest complaints that we have about our games is, my son can't go to church. So hopefully if we start at 4, we can be done by 5:30. And, you can still go to church if that's your thing to do on Wednesday night. So good question. Thank you. And if you don't have the schedule, it is on our Facebook group. So you can print that off, and I'll be glad to share it with you any other way if I can. All right, anybody else? Guys, I'm excited again that we're getting ready to have football. I love football. I love what this game can teach young people if it's done right. And it's not just about playing football. It's about life lessons and struggles and overcoming obstacles. And that's what I try to do. Again, this is my 21st year coaching, so I see this as my calling, and I do love it. And I'm really excited about this season. I've got a great coaching staff and a good bunch of kids. I haven't seen these 7th graders yet, but I've heard great things, and so I'm excited to get out there and get started with them and do the best that we can with whatever we're going to have. So, all right, well, I'm not getting any other questions. And again, you can always feel free to contact me here at the school. I look forward to seeing your son on Monday if I haven't met them yet. You guys, please spread the word. I don't know of any better way to get the word out. Nobody reads the newspaper anymore, so I've tried to spread it on social media. You share it on social media with your friends, or if you know of anybody. It's on the Facebook page. It's on the school website. So just again, try to keep spreading that as best you can. All right, guys, we will see you on Monday. Look forward to talking to you then.